Hi, and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about the settings on the side of your camera and what settings to use when photographing birds. There are 4 switches on this Sigma 150 to 600 lens, and most lenses come with these switches. First switch we're going to talk about is autofocus. I think for most bird photography, having your camera in auto is a lot better than having it in manual. Manual can be really tough, but the great thing about this lens here is it has 3 settings: automatic, manual, and in the center is a mode, which means that you can manually adjust the focus on this lens. And that really gives you a lot of flexibility. You can just use the regular autofocus when you want to just take pictures. But if you have a bird that's behind a branch or is not really cooperating and you need to kind of take control, you just have to start turning this knob to get the autofocus to work. The second switch I'm going to talk about is focus limitations. So what that does is, on this camera here, I have a focus button from 2.6 to 10 meters, from 10 meters to infinity, and then full, which means that focuses it from 2.6 meters to infinity. Now why would you have that switch? Common sense is put it on full and let it go. This is a really good lens, and a lot of times I have this lens set to full, okay? But if I'm really close to the birds or anything that I'm taking pictures of, and I'm going to be in just a stationary position, I will switch that to 2.6 to 10. Or if I'm focusing on pictures that are a little bit further than me, I will have that set for 10 to infinity. And the reason for that is if focus is a little bit sharper in those than full. But full does a pretty good job. I gotta tell you, I have this camera set to full almost all the time, and it takes really sharp pictures almost all the time. But still, having those options is a good option. And you know, generally speaking, if I'm going to go out birding and I really don't know the situation, like if I'm scouting an area or if I'm just driving in my car to take pictures, I'll generally have this set to full. But when I'm setting up to take pictures of, I have hummingbirds coming to my backyard, to my flowers. In the last couple of days, I've been trying to take pictures of them, not successfully. That's the reason why I don't have a video of them. But I will use this switch just to give me that little bit of an edge to get a little sharper focus. The other thing too is the lens focuses a little bit faster when you use those settings. One last point about autofocus, or these focus rings here. This lens does focus closer than 2.6 meters. It will not do it automatically. So you can take control and focus manually. If you have it set in mode thing and not using your focus button, you can use that mode button to focus a little bit closer to about 2.2 meters, and it really depends on the light, but that setting right there is something that I change, not a lot, but I do change it, and especially when I think about it, but that's an important switch to know. The third switch I'm going to talk about, and this is probably a little controversial, is image stabilization. On this lens, it's referred to as OS. What that does is it has a little gyroscope that's inside the lens, and it's kind of like if you take a bicycle tire and you hold it in your hand and somebody spins it and you try to turn it, there's resistance that prevents the tire from going back and forth like that. It's kind of why when you ride a bicycle, you can just, as long as those tires are spinning, you can stay up on your bicycle and it keeps moving forward. That's kind of an oversimplification of how image stabilization works. When you're taking pictures of wildlife, especially if you're hand holding your camera or if you're got it on a tripod, you should use image stabilization. Now, this lens comes with an off switch on that, and I think that has to do with landscape photography. If you've watched any videos on landscape photography, you will hear People talk about turning off image stabilization because when you push the shutter button, that motor shakes a little bit and it can give a little bit of a vibration to the lens, and that could interfere with the quality of your picture. I don't personally agree with that analysis. I think that it's kind of, again, when you're holding a tire and somebody spins it, if you hold it upright, it's relatively easy to hold it. Even though there's all this energy that is being used by the tire, it's relatively easy to hold. So I have mine set to 2. That's the most aggressive stabilization on this lens, and that's what I use. And I think that is a good thing for wildlife photography, especially taking pictures of animals, birds. If you're taking pictures of landscapes, it won't hurt you to turn off your stabilization. But if you're taking pictures of, if you're moving, if your subject's moving, if you're tracking it, image stabilization is important. Setting number 4 is customize. And now on this lens here, to do that, you have to buy a docking station to do it. On some other company lenses, you can do it through the camera, but you have to have particular brands of camera. So it all depends on what equipment you have. I did order the docking station for this video 3 weeks ago, and because of the pandemic, it just hasn't come in. So I decided to do the video without it. I will be doing a complete review of this lens and the docking station, and just to give you a preview of it, this is my main lens. I do own a 400mm f2.8 lens, which is an incredible lens. And this lens is my main lens. So when I do my review, I will be talking about why this is my main lens, not the f2.8. But I want to thank you for watching this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel because that really helps us a lot here. Support us on Patreon. Again, my name is Sean Leahy, and I want to thank you for watching.